So 2 years ago, I made this. It's a computer out of crabs. It's 4-bit, and to be honest, I don't really remember right now how it works. I know I knew at the time, and I vaguely know what everything does, but there's a lot of things that I like zoomed into earlier, and I don't actually understand what they do. But anyway, I've taken a lot of these parts and I improved them a lot, like separately. So I took out, for example, I took this out, and I also updated the game. As you can see, you can actually select now. It actually looks like a selection thing, and you can see coordinates at the top left, and a few other things have changed. Um, Basically, the first thing I updated was this guy right here, and a little bit of the right as well. So this is the address decoder, and I've got two of them. I've got one here as well. This is basically to decode what line of code you're up to. So I remember that much at least. And I looked at this and I was like, look at all this empty space, right? All this empty space in here that could be used. And I was like, surely there's a way to use that up. Surely I can make something better. And I thought maybe I could make it like maybe this long, I could make one that big. And I ended up making one that big, which if I line it up, that's about lined up. That's about half the size. And I mean, it's slanted, but it's honestly not that bad. And if you look at this side here, you've got the spacing between lines is roughly, it's kind of that much. Whereas, sorry, it's a bit laggy. That's the spacing between lines on this one. 3 blocks. So what I was thinking is I could make a computer probably the same size as this one if I increased it to 5 bits, because like it's half the size, so I could just double it and then it would be the same size. Or it would still be smaller actually, it would be thinner. So I was thinking I could do something like that and remake this, but then I discovered these things called phase crabs, and that caused me to go down this whole journey of like finding bugs in my own game. Okay, so this is my other world. This is where I made this address decoder, and I have to explain phase crabs because I actually used them to make this. And now there's 2 versions of phase crabs. There's the old version, which I will try to show you even though like it doesn't work that way anymore. And then there's the new version, which I accidentally got by fixing something in the code. So I'll go down here and I'll make just a classic crab duper. Let's go like, there we go, the default size, all right? Now, this works fine. Okay, the crabs go in a line and they interact with blocks, so I can get them to spin around. And now if I do something like put a block here, like any block, I'll just put this one. This is what happens. They go through it anyway. They just go straight through the block as if it's not there. They spawn in it and then they keep going. Now, with the old version of phase crabs, you could do this and they would go all the way through, and that would actually sustain the line, which means they don't expire like these guys. So they would actually go straight through. Now in the new version, it doesn't work like that anymore. Some weird stuff happens. I think you can insert crabs into different spaces like this. Yeah, so you can see this guy is spawning crabs into this space, which could also spawn crabs. So there's some potential for some interesting stuff to happen there, like different pulses for crab streams. But anyway, phase crabs are what you call the crabs that are inside of blocks. And the old version, I think, was pretty interesting because phase crabs could be inside blocks for basically an unending amount of time. Like they would be inside one and they would just keep going forever. But with the new version, it's still okay. It's just only one block is allowed. So what you can do is, this is my favorite type of phase crab pattern. It's the most useful one, absolutely. It's where you spawn a crab through a block and then bounce it back into a rotator, which lets you basically rotate crabs downward immediately without using any blocks on the top row or on the bottom row. So let me make that again, and I'll just show you, this is it rotating straight down, right? But now if I make another one that does the same thing, it would have to be like that. There's no other way to rotate them down. And you can see it uses a block on the top. But now if you had something going on here, like maybe this had to be a cloner, obviously that would mess up with the top. So I don't know, maybe you had something like that, and that's just not going to work. It can't work like that. So what you can do is use a phase crab here, and bam, you got something that goes straight down. So it's pretty cool. Now, if I go up to here, you can see I've actually got that same pattern. Now I might be able to try and grab this and like show you actually which bit it is. So the crabs go in here. So just, this is the area we're looking at, okay? So what's happening is the crabs are being angled down like that. So they're becoming these kind of crabs to go straight down. And then they're going into this block, and then they're going into the cloner on the left. So the cloner on the left is what starts the pattern. So it's like this, okay? These two blocks are these two blocks. All right, so that's how they're the same. So the crab goes into that, but in this case, he's getting rotated into that because of what is on the right side. And it goes through this block, bounces back, clones itself, and then goes down, which is really useful because you get two different streams of crabs in a single line. That's like unheard of. I have never been able to do that before. And now you can do that with phase crabs. So it's awesome. And that means you can get this kind of pattern as well. A stream of two crabs right beside each other, but it only takes 3 lines to do, which means you can put things together like really close together, like that. And it works. You've got a stream of crabs and there's only one gap between. So there's only a few things that I actually know of that you can use phase crabs for. The old ones, you could do a lot more with them, but I don't know what I fixed, but I fixed something and they don't work that way anymore. But the new ones, still very good. Like I actually use that in this to make it a lot smaller, which is really cool. But yeah, if I think of anything else that you can do with them, I'll definitely add that to some video where I talk about it. And let me know if this is interesting, like at all, because if anyone likes it, then I'll make some more videos about it because I really like talking about it. Also, let me know if I should actually make another computer out of crabs or not, and if it should be like a mini one or if it should be a bigger one with more bits, because I can make like a more complicated one. Could make one that has like better instructions, maybe closer to an actual computer. Because the last one was like very simple instructions. It was very basic. So you couldn't really use that to program a lot of things, or it would take way too many lines of code. And there's only, I think that was 16 lines of code. One more thing I totally forgot is there's actually a way to make stationary crabs now, which I also have no idea how that's actually happened, but it's possible. I've seen it happen. So I'm going to try and do that and then I'll show you in a sec. Okay, so I've just made one, and yes, the game is unpaused and the crab is not moving, but this crab is not registered as a crab, and I don't know how that happens. All I know is that in the code, this crab is the same as one of these blocks, and I must have introduced this when I fixed the phase crabs. Well, I didn't fix them, I sort of fixed them by accident, you know, I fixed the long phase crabs, but I don't know where I introduced this. But the way you make it is the most basic way that I know of is you make a duper and you just bounce it back on itself. And I think it's this length. I think it's that much. Yeah, and it just makes one. I don't know how that works, but it's crazy. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, you just put anything into it and it just happens. It also doesn't matter what side you put it on. You can do this side and it just spawns. Oh, hold on. Does it not work on that side? Oh, never mind, it works. Yeah, so you just have these like paused crabs right now. They just don't do anything. Don't know how that works, but it's also pretty cool. Anyway, that's actually everything. So I'll see you in the next video.